Hey lovelies, the following video does include spoilers, so make sure to read the title of this video. If you haven't read those chapters, please press pause, read up, and I will be waiting for you when you get back. The wall? Y'all, I'm stressed. But Luther though? Oh my god! Hey guys, welcome back to Lore Book Club. I am your host, Cassidy, and this week's chapters were so unbelievably good. I know I say this every week, but I love this series so much. Like, it is definitely getting pretty close to one of my god tier series. So let's get into it. We started off this week with Lily teaching Diem how to dance in preparation for the ball, where Diem is going to be meeting all of the houses and even some representatives from the other realms. Out of the 20 houses, Lily lets us know that there are 5 main houses, which basically, if they say jump, the other houses are going to say how high. And that is House Courbois, House Bennett, House Hanover, House Tenerife, and House Amrout. Now, the only ones we haven't really had any information about are House Amrout and Tenerife, and I'm really excited to meet them. And I'm curious if the guy who killed the mortal woman and the half-mortal child is part of one of those houses. I don't think so, though. Maybe he's just from a lower house, but I'm desperately waiting to meet him. Diem learns that she simply can't dance, and in order to get back at her brother laughing at her, she tells him that he has to dance with Lily. So they start dancing, and she says that she would go against the gods in order to see those two be happy, and that is Diem to her core. She loves her family so deeply, and the writing of it is just chef's kiss. Luther shows up, and he apologizes for their fight the night before. Diem said the night before that he meant absolutely nothing to her, and through this apology, she's like, yeah, it's all good, it's for the best, and she calls it friendship. Not friendship. It can't be friendship. It's not friendship, Diem. Wake up. Wake up. Luther then asks her if she meant what she said about scars. She's like, 100% I did, like, without a doubt, and she takes off her tunic, which Luther's like, and she shows him all of her scars. He then says, you have me beat on number, but I think I've got you on size. I broke into a mischievous grin. It's not the size that matters, Luther. It's what you can do with it. Our cheeky little Diem. I love her. I don't understand why anybody would say that she's insufferable. I just absolutely love her. But she asks to see his scar. And Diem says, it was clear enough he wasn't thrilled about revealing his scar, and I considered waving it off and ending his misery, but something inside me insisted this moment was vital, and that this was a side of him I needed to see, and more importantly, a side of himself Luther needed to feel seen. He slowly undoes his buttons, takes it off, and it looks as though he's been like struck by lightning. This scar is not only just like a piece on his face, it is over his entire body. And the fact that it looks like lightning makes me feel like, I don't know, maybe it was given by Lumnos, like light and shadows. That's like the epitome of light. They also start talking about the vision on the battlefield, and Luther says that he thinks it was a vision sent by Blessed Mother Lumnos herself, but that they need to be careful because sometimes her visions aren't what they seem, which implies that he's received a vision before. Maybe not necessarily that has anything to do with Diem, but it made me wonder, like, what does he mean that they're not how they seem? Taryn and Alex arrive for training, and Diem lets us know that the magic that she has makes her feel sick because it's not just like a gift for her, it's a reminder of everything that she has to lose with becoming descendant. Also, the godhood is like Inception godhood. The magic is okay, Lumnos is their god, but the godhood is her god. I don't know who he is or she is, but it's like God squared. Training does not go well. She cannot access her magic, and Diem says, my emotions were haunting me in a way I still wasn't ready to face, and that fear had herded me back into a part of myself that was hollow and numb, a forgotten corner full of cobwebs where even the godhood couldn't reach me. Our girl's depressed, and based on these chapters, it's only going to get worse. Now, Eleanor and her have a little chat, and something that I really liked is that Eleanor says to Diem that their whole lives are pre-planned, and Diem becoming descended later in life gets to be this blank canvas where she can be anybody that she wants to be. And I think Eleanor is so good for Diem because she's also a reminder of like the good side of becoming a descended and not just all like the heavy weight that comes with the realization that she has magic. It's the night of the ball. Now, It's about me. I love a ball. Sori is not happy. She is absolutely on edge that the representatives from the other territories are there, even though because they're not in their terra mare, they have no access to their magic. But even so, Sori is on full guard and Eamon arrives. He's looking very handsome, very dapper, and he gifts Diem a necklace, and it is the sigil of House Courbois. Now, it is a phoenix with sapphire eyes because the Lumnos descended have blue eyes, and a single ruby, which is supposed to be the drop of blood from the mortals. And Eamon says, a message to our enemies that House Courbois always survives. Though many have tried, no one can destroy us, he smiled. In the end, we always rise again. And based on who Diem is, I feel like she picked a good house. I think the sigil of being a phoenix like represents her almost, of that go-getter, and like no matter how far you are destroyed, you come back stronger. And I think that is Diem to her core. But then Eamon says that Luther and him didn't make a deal, and that Luther was lying about that because Luther was like, I could bring anybody I want. I don't need to bring you. And I don't know if I trust Eamon. Like, he's either just a prejudged person, kind of like what Eleanor was saying, that like we're all pre-designed and everybody has their experience and expectations of Eamon, and so that's just what they expect of him. But Diem is the first person that is getting Eamon on like a fresh platter. So he's either the most honest person alive or the most cunning, and all her friends are right. I don't know. I really don't know, because I am so hot and cold with him. Now, we learn that all the servants within House Courbois are from House Courbois, and because they have lower magic, they can either be servants to House Courbois or be unhoused because of their magic levels. I think that's crazy. I was shocked. But I also was like, I didn't know where the servants were coming from. So it does make sense that they're House Courbois, because they also only allow House Courbois guards within their house because of what happened to the late King Arthur. But like, I don't know. I just thought that was crazy. And then Diem says, my anger had been focused on the mortals' subjugation, but it seemed the Descended had a caste system of their own. And it's true. Very classist. Now, I don't think mortals have like a big class system. They all seem to just be kind of in the soup. But Diem, as the days go on, are realizing that the things she hated about the Descended are just like the surface. There's so much more to the Descended and their class systems and the unfairness within their system that I think lends to Diem's willingness to want to help. And then Henry's there. Y'all, I screamed. I was like, Henry, take a note. Get out. And Diem shows up and she tries to touch him. He doesn't even want her to touch him. And I'm like, Diem, he is playing you. Wake up. The minute Henry knew she was Descended, he would never think of her the same at all. But he has the audacity to say, all the more reason I should be here. They need to learn now how to bow down to their mortal king. That's crazy. Like, crazy. He's not like, hey babe, hey Diem, I missed you. He's like, I'm the mortal king. I'm like, no, you're not, babe. You're an annoying guardian. I hate him. I really don't like him. And he's using her so badly. Like, he's drinking the Kool-Aid of the Guardians, and like, even if she wasn't Descended, their relationship wouldn't work. He looks at her like he's already grieving her and says, the Diem I know would never send me away. We've always faced every challenge together. We trusted each other with everything. Then you became one of them and you want nothing to do with me. Also, the use of saying we trusted each other adds to the fire of him using her. He doesn't trust her anymore. He doesn't. Oh, Diem, wake up. He also then is like, the Guardians are here and on my command, they're going to take the palace. And Diem is like, there are children here, Henry, innocent people who have done no wrong. Even before I said the words, I knew they would have no effect. The radicalization of the Guardians and the unbending hatred they preached had sunk its fangs deep and filled Henry with a venom I didn't know how to cure. You can't. He has drank in the Kool-Aid. He's gone. The Henry you know might have been amazing, but he does not exist anymore. He simply doesn't. I also feel like he's lied to her about some Descendant stuff as well. He then says, war is coming, Diem. Time to pick a side. Please pick the Descendants. But she doesn't want to pick a side. And in theory, you don't have to pick a side. How about instead we figure out how to all live in harmony? Have we considered that? No, Henry hasn't considered that. And also the Descendant haven't considered that. But that is why Blessed Mother Lumnos made Diem queen. That is why. To unite the people. She kisses him and says, please forgive me, and gets the guards to take him to the dungeon. He looks back and the only emotion on his face is betrayal. Now for me, this is the nail in the coffin for Henry. And any moment they have together past this point is a lie. She says, no love, no trust, no hope, no attempt to understand, no willingness to forgive, only betrayal. And like I said, final nail in the coffin. After she sends him away, in his mind, she's picked the Descended, even though she's choosing no violence. I don't think she's necessarily choosing the Descended over the Guardians. I just think she knows that there's children in the palace and she has friends as well. Like, ugh, vanilla and cinnamon alert. Spooky. The only person in any of these romantasy books that can smell like cinnamon is Lance Orion. And if you know, you know. But it's Aemon. And she's like, oh, this is all wrong. Where is my leather woods man? Which is Luffy. I also don't think Aemon gives a shit about Diem. I can't tell. When he was hugging her and stuff, even though Luther was doing the same thing once he arrived, it made me feel like his was performative and not actually he cared about her. Diem then tells Luther about the Guardians and that they're outside, and she's like, I don't want you to hurt them. Luther basically tells her she can release the Umbros Descended from the magical binding and they can use their Jedi mind tricks to get them to leave. And Luther says, Umbros Descended are fiercely loyal to their queen. What they learn, they'll tell her. It will give her immense power over the realm and over you, and especially if you have plans you don't want the other crowns to know about. She originally wanted to overthrow the Descended, but also I don't think that's her plan anymore, so it kind of makes her safe. He's like, it's fine, I can be around them because they can know my secrets, and she's like, why will you give them your secrets but not me? Tea. Absolute tea. And he's like, the Queen of Umbros already knows that I've been smuggling out the mortal children. And I'm like, what? Crazy. Everybody says that the Queen of Umbros is bad. I don't know. I might be a lover of Miss Umbros. And then Diem says, my soil, because Lumnos, realm of light and shadows, was no longer merely my home. It was my flesh and blood. It was part of me. It was me. With a single thought, the magic binding the Umbros Descended shattered like broken glass. Their dark, hazy energy began to roll across the realm like an ominous fog, leaving me with a nagging dread that I might have just spared 200 lives to risk countless more. Once she felt that energy, I was like, yeah, we're out of luck there, babe. I don't think it was the right decision. Luther is off to grab the Umbros representatives so that they can mind warp the Guardians to get them out of the palace. Aemon shows up and he's like, a gift for my queen, and he dazzles her with magical starlight, which I loved. And he got another point. So that's what I mean. Aemon is always 50-50 for me. That scale is Diem then thinks, tonight I would have to play my part and be the bright, shiny object to distract them from the predator to come. Hell yeah. And Aemon says, you're a Corbois, Diem, he murmured into my ear. Embrace your phoenix, rise from the ashes, and burn bright once more. He won my favor with that one. If it was just for show, I don't think he would do anything like that. I feel like his words, even if he is conniving maybe to his cousins because of past experiences, with Diem, I think he is being true. The doors open and we're at the ball, and Diem picked the best outfit in the entire world. It is described as a blank canvas, a blushing bride, a white flag of surrender, soft, virginal, harmless, all the things I wasn't. Only my dark, thorny crown hinted at what lay beneath. Oh, so good. And what a smart choice. Wearing the white virginal wedding dress. Phenomenal. Especially that there's a big conversation about who's gonna marry the queen. And again, it just makes me feel like Aemon is a tough character, but I think he's just a product of his father, which makes him come off as harder and meaner than he actually is. Then she meets all the representatives and they're all pretty chill. They all come bearing gifts. And it reminded me of when Bella Swan meets all the vampires in Breaking Dawn, that they were all coming up with their crazy colored eyes and they were like, a gift for the Queen of Lumnos. So I was like, okay. Everything's going well, but then the Umbros representative shows up, and it's only one of the two because the other one is mind-bending the Guardians. He's just a creepy crawly. He's sending sex scenes in her brain, and he's being super flirty and sexy and nice and charming, but then her godhood says fight and she blocks him out, and then he becomes a total prick. Figures. Men. He then says, we don't have a present because our queen already gave you one. And she's like, what? And then he reminds her and says, when forgotten blood on Heartstone falls, then shall the chains be broke. He said in a bitter drawl, life for life, old debt requires, or eternal be his yoke. And then it's revealed that the Queen of Umbros was the spooky witch from Spark of the Everflame who told her to stop taking the cursed flame root powder. Y'all, I was gagged. I was like, what do you mean? Now, maybe it was a disguise and she's done a little bit of magic to make her look old, but I currently love the fact that she's not this young hot blonde that's I'm the Queen of Embers, I'm 24. But she's like an old, decrepit, magical being. It makes her scarier, to be honest. The realm of Sappho's comes up, and she is not happy to see them because Henry told her that they just kill the mortals that go and train there. And they say, we give you 2 gifts. Now, the first one is the Orb of Awakening. It will respond with a yes or no to 3 questions of your choice, so long as the answer is known to any living being with the kindred's blood. Phenomenal gift. Like, even though you hate them, phenomenal. And the second gift is a place at their schools for Teller. And she, like, crashes out. She's like, get the fuck out of my palace. I think Henry was lying and they don't just kill the mortals. Maybe they just stay there to study. Like, I don't know. I think it was a little bit of a brash reaction though. Aemon then is like, I'm gonna put a baby in Diem's belly and he's back on my shit list. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, shut up. And then House Hanover shows up. Now their house sigil is a white rose with a ruby, and it's to represent the speck of mortal blood from the kindred's mortal lover, which is their only mistake. And it's just giving ugh. Like, they hate mortals. This house is like anti-mortal. Now they're being absolutely horrible, but House Courbois is pretty buddy-buddy with House Hanover. So people are like rubbing elbows, and the supposed marriage between Iana and Prince Luther comes up in conversation. And Diem says, as you pointed out, the kindred did bless us with free will. I expect Luther will exercise his. He can choose for himself the woman he desires. Now Martha starts getting a little bit angry. And the raggedy old grandma dogs out Diem and is like, it's just so interesting that you were with the king right before he died. And she basically implies that Diem killed King Ulthar. And Diem is like, oh, you dare accuse House Courbois of murdering the late king. And Diem goes, I wouldn't want a simple misunderstanding to cause any bloodshed, I said calmly but forcefully. So I'll ask you again, does House Hanover accuse House Courbois of murdering its own beloved Ulthar? I'm sure you must have simply misspoken, because if it were discovered that you had invented such a vicious lie without even a shred of evidence to support it, in order to stir up unrest against your queen, well, that would be treason. I was reading this. My husband was asleep in bed beside me, and I was gagged. I was like, damn, babe. But good for her. She is queenie. I love her. She says, no, we do not accuse House Courbois. And Diem's like, I may have won the battle, but now House Hanover is ready for war. And I was like, oh, it's so stressful. Everything about this book is stressful. Now she escapes for a moment with a bottle of wine just to have a little bit of downtime. And I'm like, girl, you and me both. And she starts thinking about maybe her mom did have something to do with King Ulthar's death, because she was the palace healer when he got sick. Spooky. Honestly, Aurelia needs to come back because I need to have some questions answered. Okay, where are you? She's then eavesdropping, and Luther and Iana are talking, and she's like around the corner with her little glass of wine, and she's like, what are they talking about? And Iana says, I'm Hanover, Lou. I have no reason to be jealous of that uneducated, ill-mannered trash, whether she sits on a throne or not. Then Eleanor shows up and she's like, hey girlie, and they're like, now 2 girly pops in the shadows, eavesdropping on Luther and Iana. And he says, careful, you're gonna commit treason. And she says, treason is putting a mortal-loving half-breed on a descended throne. And Luther goes God mode, and he says, let me make myself extremely clear. If you or anyone in your family makes a move against Diem, it will be the last thing you ever do. I will see to it personally that House Hanover is destroyed. They're back on the dance floor. Aemon and Diem are dancing, and she's like, you're a prick. Why are you saying that, like, we're together, we're gonna get married? And he's like, well, people have stopped asking about your love life, or? And she's like, tea. And now he's back in my good books. I just don't know where I stand with Aemon, all right? I need a big event to happen where he's either got her back or doesn't, and I can make a sound decision. Taryn steals her for a dance, and they are talking, and I knew it from the first moment that he was talking about Aemon and she was talking about Henry. 2 ships passing at the night, and then eventually they talk about an engagement, and then Taryn learns that she is betrothed to Henry. Spooky. Oh, she needs to cancel this engagement. I can't have any more people learning about this. And Taryn reiterates that she cannot trust Aemon. So now I'm back on, because I trust Taryn. So I'm like, I mean, they are brothers. Like, they've known each other probably centuries. So, maybe Aemon's back on my shit list. Now, Jean from House Hanover grabs Diem for a dance, and him and the other cousins are egging her on to use her magic, okay? And like, the godhood is not answering. But then Luther shows up and he's like, if she showed you her power, you would turn to ash. And she wonders if maybe the godhood didn't stir because the godhood knows it's true, that if she were to release her power, she would have killed every single person in that ballroom. She needs to figure out how to use her magic. Every time that they're in that dungeon practicing, I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake. Now, my favorite chapter. The night goes on. People are leaving. It's a little bit less busy. And Luther steals Diem from Eamon for a dance. And she says, his touch was the changing of the seasons. The dead, cold gray of winter, thawing and giving way to the colorful hope of spring. The promise of something new, something exquisitely alive. It's just lust, I told myself. Physical attraction. You're lonely and he's very pretty to look at. Nothing more. It can't be more. It's more, queen. It's love. He sent the guardians away. The Umbros representative got in their minds and he said it was really unnerving to watch their magic in real time. Spooky. Umbros is always mentioned, so I think it's going to be a battle eventually where the Umbros people are going to use their mind control power, maybe even over like some of the Lumnos descended. That'd be crazy. Diem's obviously upset about what happened with Henry and having to put him into the dungeons. And Luther lets her know that he released him from the dungeons and he's back home. But he does say that if Henry loves Diem, he will forgive her. Now, I'm telling you, he doesn't love Diem anymore, so he's not going to forgive her. Diem then reveals that she does want to take down the Descended, and Luther says, more than any of the other kindred, Blessed Mother Lumnos loved the mortals. She never wanted them forced into submission. She commanded her Descended to guard them from harm, not be the cause of it. He took my face in his hands, cradling it in his palms. Even before you had the crown, I felt her urging me towards you. The more I see you, the more I understand why. She wants change, and she believes you can achieve it. His thumb brushed across my cheek, and so do I. He then goes on to say, sorry, I took so many excerpts from this book. You are my queen, and I am your sword. Point me at your enemies and watch them fall. Lead this world, Diem, and I will follow you into war, into death, into the tundra of hell itself. He took my palm and set it against his chest, just above the patch of unscarred skin that lay beneath his jacket. You are the fate my heart was spared for. As long as it beats, you will never fight alone. I'd melt. But for a second, I'm not gonna lie, I wondered if Prince Luther is actually obsessed with the gods and less so obsessed with Diem. I think he thinks Diem's his destiny, but is that because the gods and goddesses are pushing him towards her? And it's less about Diem and more about their will. Controversial opinion. She then very quietly is like, but you said you wouldn't want to marry me. Thank you for asking. And he says, I told myself that even if you had no one else, you would at least have me. I never wanted to become just another person who wanted to steal a piece of you for themselves. And I have failed. Completely, irreversibly failed. I don't just want a piece of you. I want them all. His thumb raked across my lower lip. I want every breath, every laugh, every tear, every taste of your mouth, every inch of your skin. I want to kneel at your feet, soaked in the blood of your enemies, then worship your body until you scream my name. His hand slid to my hips and tugged me closer. Yes, Diem, I want to serve you in every way a man can. I want to burn alive in that fire in your eyes. I want it to melt me down and forge me into the weapon you need me to be. I want to stand by your side for the rest of my life, and I don't need you to marry me and make me a fucking king to do it. And that is why Prince Luther is better than I'm your mortal king, Henry. Oh! Hell yeah. My mouth was on the floor. Luther confessing his love for Diem, that was not on my 2025 bingo card at this ball, but alas, here we are. It's the next morning. Diem has made the decision that she is going to friend zone Prince Luther, but he shows up with breakfast and she's like, I can't. And I'm like, girl, I get you. But today is a very important day. It is the first of the meetings of the house receptions, but it's the first time with Arthur's old crown council, but with the additions of her father, Andre Bellator, and Eleanor. Now, Diem's a mess, and Eleanor guesses that Luther confessed his love, and she says, I know we haven't known each other long, but I can already see the woman you are. I see your kindness and your values. Those things are what define you, Diem, not your titles or the person you marry. She then goes on to say, the Phoenix, it's a reminder that no challenge can destroy the parts of us that truly matter. We're not reborn in the flames, we're revealed. I love Eleanor so much. And then she says, which is like ultimate girlhood and 10 out of 10, my girl, love you. She says, this man you're engaged to, if you love him, then fight for him. But if you're only holding on to him because you're afraid of losing who you are, she took my hands in hers. Nothing can take that away from you, Diem. No crown, no man, not even the kindred themselves. She is such a girl's girl. The girls are sharing a moment of like, soul sister vibes, like forehead to forehead. Terrence shows up and he's like, damn, are you guys gonna kiss? And I was like, oh my God. We then learn that House Bennett doesn't actually hate mortals, but they love money. And unrest leads to more sales of weapons, so they egg on the mortals and descended having unrest between each other. However, because the armory was absolutely fucked up, Everflame Bennett has a request of the crown, and he wants the guardians found and executed. Now, interesting that he wants the guardians found and executed. He doesn't mention that he wants like all the mortals gone, which reiterates that they don't really hate the mortals, but they don't want a rebel group attacking their resources. But he does request that all the mortals join the war front in Fortos. And he's very unhappy that Andre Bellator is there. So I don't think he necessarily hates the mortals. I just think he's a bitter old man. And without a doubt, I think somebody is going to challenge Diem, but I don't think it's going to be somebody from House Bennett. I don't think she's made a big enough enemy of that house. After the meeting, everybody leaves and she's alone with Andre Bellator. And he says her greatest weakness has always been anger. And he asks her a very important question. He says, does your anger actually help those people, or does it make you feel righteous while the situation gets worse? That's tea. And that's something that DM needs to figure out how to differentiate between. Like, is she just being an advocate, or is she actually doing something to help it? But she wants her father's approval so bad, she doesn't feel like she gets it. So she accepts resignation and leaves the room. DM then is considering separating her life from her mortal family, but then she comes to the realization that there was nothing the Belladors couldn't take on as long as the four of us were together. Lily also lets DM know that the way that they're getting Teller into the palace is through that red door by the canal, because there's a blood lock there and Teller's blood can open it because the royal blood is now Bellator, not Courbois. And Diem is like, whew, because we also know, which I know that there were some theories about, that Aurelia wasn't actually her birth mother, but Teller and her share blood, which means Aurelia must be her birth mother. And Diem's like, thank God. They're in the dungeon. Alex comes running in, says, you need to come with me immediately. They show up to Diem's childhood home. Luther's standing there like he's seen a ghost, and written on the walls in blood, mortal lover, half-breed, rebel scum, and Andre Bellator is dead. I cried. I was not expecting this. Because of what's written on the wall, it's assumed it's descended, okay? I think it was the Guardians. Without a doubt, I think it was the Guardians. I think that they killed him because, one, the Guardians didn't like Andre anyway because they thought that he was a, like, descended supporter. And I think that by killing Andre, they thought that they were going to weaponize Diem against the descended. Diem then says, I would make them suffer in cruel, unimaginable ways, make them beg me for mercy, and then make them beg me for death. I would make real every terror that haunted them, and when there was nothing left of them to wound, I would put them back together so I could do it all over again. She's like over his body. Luther's like, I'm so sorry. And she's like, Sorry, get Luther out of here. He's like, no, let me stay. Sorry grabs him in her talons, flies him away, and Diem explodes, detonating her mortal life. Everything that she was is gone. Her father's body, her childhood home, every memory, every moment is eviscerated by Diem's godhood. She sobs in Luther's arms. She needs to tell Teller, and she wants to tell him herself. And she says, this night, this was the fire that had forged me. And someday soon, when the burning glow of my grief cooled away, I would show my father's killer and all of Amarion just how deeply my blade could cut. Now, if it was the Guardians who killed Andre Bellator, I think they did the opposite. I think they forged a weapon and Diem will become unstoppable within her grief. Now, Diem's trauma and depression and guilt is overpowering. And she says, someone else murdered our father, but I had killed him. Oh, this whole section was just so heartbreaking and like, oh, it just like made me sick to my stomach. But after the death of Andre, Teller moves into the palace full time. Diem's grief has completely taken over her. She doesn't talk to anybody. She's so isolated, but they have the house meeting with House Hannover. Diem also says, strange how armor could be both a shield and a cage, keeping the arrows out while trapping the monster in. Now, she enters the room and Alex is there in Andre's seat, and Luther has invited her to be the representative of the military, which I don't think was a good decision. I think he probably should have spoken to her about that. And it starts off the meeting like already in a bad place. And Martha comes in. Though she apologizes for like the death of Andre, she comes in with an alibi. So she's not dumb. which I did appreciate. They have like a decent enough meeting. Remus is leading the whole thing and Diem's just sitting there. And then she's like, but I'm not dumb. Something's gonna come. And Martha says, House Hanover wants all the mortals gone by the end of the year, which is in 1 month. And if they won't accept today and make a blood bargain, Jean is going to move forward with the challenging. She's like, okay, then we'll do the challenging. Like, go actually fuck yourself. And Martha's like, are you so quick to wanting to die, Diem? And she's like, doesn't really matter. I'll get to see my dad again, which harrowing. And she says, so no, Martha, I do not fear death. I do not fear a challenge, and I definitely do not fear the petty threats of House Hanover. And Diem then gives a counter offer. If you want a bonded bargain, I'll give you one. I will swear to rule fairly and compassionately for all my subjects. I will promise to never sell my justice to the highest bidder. I will ensure that not a soul in my realm goes without a roof over their heads, a meal on their table, or the medicine to cure their ills. I will protect the vulnerable and strike down the evil. I will do whatever it takes to protect this realm from its enemies abroad. My eyes swept across the Hanover's contingent and from its enemies within. And I will vow on my magic and on everything I hold dear that I will never, ever value my own life above the lives of my people, mortal or descended. Diem's entered her actual grief-ridden bad bitch queen era. If somebody said that to me at a table, I would be scared. Now, Uncle Gareth has something to say about it, and he's just being annoying as all hell. Like, I know he hates Diem, but like, Diem puts him immediately into his place and says, Gareth, if I were you, I'd start putting that sharp tongue to work on persuading the other houses. If I die, the next crown might be another mortal-loving half-breed who likes you even less than I do. Her losing her father has taken away all the softness of her. Everybody leaves the room, and it's just her kind of closest confidants left behind. And she says, out of respect for what you four have done for me, let me speak plainly, I began. My loyalty is not to House Courbois, nor to the 20 houses, or the Descended, or even to the goddess Lumnos herself. My loyalty is to the people who need my protection, not those who feel entitled to it. I will bring justice to this realm, even if it costs me my life. And all four of them are like, we are with you. There is no other crown we'd rather serve. Oh, so good. See, this is the difference between these people and Henry. Henry just wants something from her, where these people want to like be just like a part of her. Oh, I love it. Now, we though, as the reader, are given the unfortunate understanding that Luther did break his promise to Diem, and he did not protect her family. She's furious, obviously, but there's a spark of something still within her heart for him, and she says, you make so many promises, but the only thing I ever really wanted was honesty, and it's the one thing you still refuse to give. Just be honest with her, and then you guys can be happily ever after. Oh my god, it's like, oh. Now, because there's nothing left of their home and the body at the funeral, she buries the 2 fighting knives that she'd carried her whole life that were her father's, that she stole when she was a little girl. It's a small funeral of Descended and mortals, and the Descended wore black instead of ruby red in order to honor Andre, which I loved. Great detail. And the other generals that were Andre's friends also are in agreement that they think that the rebels and guardians are alienating the mortals and making their situation even worse. And they say, we could have used Andre's wisdom. He had a talent for setting aside his emotion and striking at the heart of the issue, which is something that Diem lacks. And I think Andre's instilled so much of his talents in her that I think she's going to start being a little bit more cautious before acting. Now, the closest Descended to Diem have also said that they'll take care of Teller, but she asks Moira as well in the case that, you know, she dies during the challenging, and the Descended might be meaning well, but like a human's life is so fleeting. So she was like, just in case, can you please take care of him? And she's like, we've got him, no worries. So Diem feels a little bit lighter knowing that her brother will be taken care of, be it by mortals or Descended. Lana and her also talk, and she's like, yeah, the Guardians are like a little insane. And I'm like, yeah, guys, you guys should not be with that cult horrifying group. I don't know, maybe Lana will be used as maybe a little bit of a spy to Diem. That'd be cool. Henry doesn't come to the funeral. And you know why? Because he killed Andre. Also, when Andre died, he had like a look of shock on his face, which makes me feel like it was Henry. Ah, spooky, horrible. Henry's dad is there, and he's like talking to Diem, and he's like, Henry's lost. Like, he's so lost to his anger. And Diem, you're the only one that can make him kind again. A lot of pressure from Papa Henry. But Henry shows up with Vance. Go away. But he doesn't really care about her. Sorry, the first thing he asks about is if she can get some of the flame root powder. Like, Oh my God, Diem, wake up. Like, oh, it's so frustrating to read. I feel like she's being so naive about Henry. But then they make up and Henry kisses her and Luther is like in the background, absolutely devastated, watching on. She doesn't even know what to do about anything. She's happy that Henry's forgiven her, but he hasn't. He's using you. Luther is also a mess about the situation, so she runs and runs and runs, but she cannot run away from her problems forever. Diem is back in the dungeons trying to figure out how to use her magic. Everybody's there. Alex is like, maybe I should do an illusion of somebody you care about so like you feel a little bit more ignited. And Taryn is like, if you're so happy with your mortal boy, why do you care so much about Iana? Crazy. Taryn, crazy. But I do like the fact that the descended friends that she has are also like biting against her, like being like, you can't keep running forever. Like we should train on the road. All you ever do is run, because it feels like an honest relationship rather than a performative one, but no magic is manifested on this day. Then she meets the Guardians. Guys, I threw my Kindle. I was like, Diem, why are you so dumb? This pissed me off. She has them blindfolded so they don't know where they are or how to get there, okay? But then they learn about the blood lock and that it has to be Bellator blood. And I'm terrified that they're going to use Teller to get into the palace. She just doesn't think, like, there's only one other Bellator within Lumnos at the moment. Like, of course, they're not going to be able to get their hands on you, so they're going to utilize your brother. The Guardians basically want to borrow the boat in order to transport some sensitive goods and weapons, because a royal boat isn't going to be stopped at the borders. But Henry's like being icky, and I think Diem is starting to get like a little bit cautious around him, except the guards show up. So they have to hide, but as they're running, they run ahead of Diem. They escape, they don't have their blindfolds on, and they see the grounds of the palace, how they got there, everything. Oh, and Diem's like, and Henry's like, sorry, babe. It was so bad, but also like, Diem, come on, honey. Use your noggin. Like they're using, oh my God, they're using you. This must be so frustrating to Luther to know that, like, without a doubt they're using her. But I like that he's just letting her choose her own adventure, you know? Oh my God, painful. The next day, Eleanor is doing her best to try and brighten Diem's mood. And we learned that Eleanor's birth was transactional. Her parents wanted to go somewhere. They were very strong. So they were like, okay, well, we'll have a kid in order for us to go do what we want to do. And that's why there's so many cousins, because there isn't a lot of great relationships between siblings and parents, which is very different to the mortal world. The cutest thing in the history of books happens, and Diem and Eleanor make a blood bargain that they are sisters. And I love this. Any sort of sister relationships in books are so important to me. I love it, love it, love it. And because they did this blood bargain, makes it feel that Eleanor won't betray her, and Diem 100% wouldn't. So it just really filled my heart to the brim with love. They're then again with some house representatives, and there's like the lover twins, spooky. And we find out that Lily is betrothed to Roderick, their non-twin son. Okay. She's like, nah, that's not happening. Lily can pick who she wants to get married to. And they're like, okay, we're gonna let you guys kind of figure this out. And Remus snaps. He's like, how dare you? Like, this is a betrothal. Like, Lily's a transactional piece. And Diem and Remus get into a fight. He is going to like attack Diem. Luther pulls the sword of House Courbois and threatens his father. Remus is like, that sword is only allowed to be used to protect House Courbois. And Luther's like, that's what I'm doing. Crazy. And then it said, I was your son, Luther says. That did not stop you from drawing blood then, and it will not stop me from doing so now. I mean, I think it'd be a little obvious, but maybe Remus did the scar. Obviously, bad vibes between those two. It's then revealed that Remus has been hiding in the shadows and watching Diem's trainings, so he knows that she can't use her magic. Gag. All the shit hits the fan. Luther is leaving the room, and they're like, what are you gonna do? And he's like, whatever I have to. And that's where we ended off. Oh, so good. So unbelievably good. We had the amazingness, wonderful love reveal of the ball. We had the death of Andre Bellator, R.I.P. to one of my favorite father figures in books I've read thus far. And we have some unrest within House Courbois, and the challenging is 4 days away. I loved these chapters, absolutely. I can't wait to keep reading. Like, this book has its claws in me, and I hope you guys are loving it as well. Our book boyfriend of the week is not a surprise at all. We are back to having Prince Luther. His admission to being in love with Diem at the ball changed the trajectory of my life. My brain chemistry forever changed. Our power scale this week starts with Diem because she's a mess. Though she's good at being a queen and playing court. She doesn't have her magic. She's lost her father. She's very deep in the well of grief, and she's just barely treading water at the moment. So DM's on the bottom. Then we have Luther because he didn't really do much, and he broke the promise of taking care of DM's family, and he's just not really doing himself any favors at the moment. And now he's MIA. So he's in third. Then we have Remus because he knows how to play court really well. And though he kind of had a bitch fit in the last chapter we read, I just think through the ball and everything, he's always consistently been very good at playing court and playing the houses. And our first place goes to Henry because he is playing DM like a fiddle. I just hope he gets knocked down a peg next week because that boy, I don't like you. Our spice meter this week was a big ol' 0. Nothing spicy happened. That's okay though, because the tension meter was a good ol' 3. The ball scene, them dancing together, loved it. Our quote of the week is by DM Bellator, and she said, "Strange how armor could be both a shield and a cage, keeping the arrows out while trapping the monster in." I just think that is so prominent in her life right now, and there's just so much foreshadowing in that of what is to come. Oh, I can't wait. For next week, please finish the book. We are finishing Glow of the Everflame, and make sure to finish the epilogue as well. I think there's one at the end of the book, and I cannot wait to finish this book and see what happens because yum, 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 yum. 10 out of 10. I'm loving it. Make sure to like and subscribe here on YouTube. Hit that bell so you never miss a video. And make sure to follow us on Instagram and TikTok where I post funny little videos every single day. I will see you next Wednesday. Love you guys. Mwah.